Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here, and I wanted to highlight my top 5 games of this year, 2024. So, I should preface all of this by saying that obviously I do not have unlimited resources or unlimited time, so I don't get a chance to play every game I would like to play. But of the games I have played, these are the top 5. These are the ones that I sank the most time into, I had the most fun with. I did play a variety of games, and there are some that I would say kind of fall into the realm of honorable mention, but we're just going to focus on these for this video and kind of talk about these. There are no, I would say they're in no particular order except for my game of the year, and I mentioned that game actually in a previous review that I did recently. But I'm just going to highlight these, and the cat is literally springboarding all over the room because he's going a little bit nuts right now. So if you hear any noise in the background, that's what that's all about. But anyway, let's jump into this. The first one that I want to talk about here is Animal Well. And if you've played this, you know exactly what I mean here. I played this on my PlayStation 5. It's just a really great side-scrolling kind of 8-bit style, or maybe not even 8-bit, maybe like between 8 and 16-bit, maybe like 10-bit, 12-bit, something like that. But this great kind of pixel art puzzle platformer that has you do all kinds of cool stuff. So it's challenging, but in my estimation, it's not so challenging that it becomes annoying or that it becomes problematic. I had a really great time with this game. I remember when I finished the main story, I was going back trying to collect as many of the trophies as I could on it. I did have to use some different resources to try and figure out some things that I just couldn't quite understand in terms of where they were located on the sprawling map. It's almost like a Metroidvania in that way. You kind of build out this gigantic map and you can sort of navigate it to go back and get these different elements and components that are part of what you're trying to collect there. But if you have not played Animal Well, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. I don't know right now if it's on PS Plus, or I know it's also, I think, on Nintendo Switch. You may be able to get it on that, but really great game. It kind of surprised me. I downloaded it not really knowing how much I would like it. I just remember it getting good reviews, and I sank hours upon hours into it. One of my favorite games of this year. The next one should be no surprise. It's Astrobot. It won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and I think it's completely deserving of that. Gameplay-wise, just sheer entertainment value-wise, graphics, just everything about it was so much fun. And I think the thing that I love the most about it is that it's just a celebration of the history of PlayStation, especially, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, so if you haven't played it, you may want to click away and then skip ahead a little bit. But when you get to the final level, or levels, plural, really the final level, actually, it kind of takes you through the history of PlayStation and the way it does the sound design and all that. It's just really, really great. It's one of those games that I was playing, and I couldn't stop smiling while I was playing it. I had an awesome time with it. If I had to knock Astrobot for anything, I do think the enemy variety is a little bit rote and kind of repetitive, but everything about it is great, especially what it does with the DualSense. Like, everything it does with the DualSense to me is sort of indicative of, this is what I wanted for my PS5 from launch, right? And Astro's Playroom kind of gave us a preview of that, but at least for my money, this is the only game I played in the entire time I've had the PlayStation 5 that actually took full advantage of the DualSense. I'm sure there are some other games that do some kind of quirky stuff with it, but I had so much fun with it. It's one of those first-party titles that kind of felt like, yes, this is sort of the love and attention to detail that I want. It kind of reminded me of a great 3D Mario game, maybe like Mario Odyssey, in the sense that you can tell so much detail was put into it. I will say, I don't think it's got quite as much depth or longevity as something like Mario Odyssey, but it's still a really great game. Again, I think it is completely deserving of Game of the Year. It was not my choice for that, but I completely understand why it won that. The other great game that I enjoyed, and another Xbox exclusive, actually, is Hellblade 2. I really thought this was a masterpiece experience. I mean, this was sort of a cinematic, audible, visual feat that I had not really experienced before. When you play through this, sort of the, I don't know, psychoanalytical components of it, and the way that if you have headphones on, you hear the sound coming from the thoughts of Senua as you're sort of navigating this Icelandic terrain and everything. It was just amazing. And it was sort of this descent into the depths of insanity and hell. But the way you sort of come out of the other side at the end of it is really cool. But just visually, gameplay, everything, I really loved it. Some people might say, and I've seen this criticism, that it's more of a walking simulator than anything else. I don't fully agree with that. I think there is more to it than that, and I think it's meant to be almost like more of a lived-in cinematic experience. Even though it does have those gameplay elements, kind of the chess match of combat that is characteristic of the two titles that make up the Hellblade games. But I just think it's awesome. I think it should have gotten more praise than it did when it was released. I think it's actually in this generation, the first true, really amazing Xbox exclusive. I mean, you might say Flight Sim is sort of in that same vein, but from a single player game perspective, I think it's Hellblade 2. And I hate that it didn't get more attention, but I think it's a really great game. Now, this fourth game is a little bit of kind of a random selection because I knew I would be excited about it when it came out, and I have played it a good bit. I sort of dropped off with my enthusiasm with it recently just because I played it so much early on when I first got it. But still, it's a good game, and it's College Football 25. Obviously, you can get that on Xbox, PlayStation, whatever, but they did a really good job, I think, of not making it too much of a Madden clone, and they did, I think, what they could in terms of making it reasonably comparable to what a college game day experience would be like. So the amount of depth and detail that was placed into that game, the fact that they update it, with player information and stats and that kind of stuff, makes it that much more enjoyable if you like college football. And I think that's what this all hinges on, right? I really enjoy college football. A complete side note, though, I think it's absolutely broken at this point. The fact that it has sort of become NFL Junior, I think is hugely problematic. I think the hiring of Bill Belichick at UNC, I think that's a big problem. I hate that. I hate the way things have gone, but that's neither here nor there. As a football game, as a football video game, it's really entertaining. I knew it was on the way, but I have much more fun with it than I thought I would because I used to enjoy Madden, stopped kind of playing Madden, but this sort of reinvigorated my love for football in video game form. So I'm going to give it praise for that. Really enjoyed it a lot. My number one game, and if you didn't see the review, I'll put an info card here so you can check that out. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Again, I'm not going to reiterate everything I said in the review, but this is like getting an entirely new 80s era Indiana Jones movie, and it's amazing. The MacGuffin is great. The way it concludes is just like, in my opinion, what you could expect from one of the movies. The voice acting from Troy Baker is awesome. The puzzles are great. There's a good amount of side missions, but it's not so much that it's overwhelming. It's not one of those games that you kind of start playing and think, it's going to take me years to finish this, which some people love that kind of stuff. I want a game that's going to be reasonable in length, and that's what this ended up being. At this point, I'm like 50% done with the achievements, something like that. But obviously did roll credits on the story and had a really great time with it. I hope that Machine Games does make a sequel to this or make another Indiana Jones game in that same vein. I think, given, at least from what I can tell, given how successful this has been, I would be surprised if they don't do that. I'm sure when it eventually launches on PlayStation this spring, it's going to gain that much more traction. So I wish Indiana Jones and the Great Circle had been in contention for Game of the Year because I really think it would have had a shot. It probably would not have beaten Astrobot, but I think it's just another example of Xbox finally doing the right thing. Now, there's a whole other conversation there about should this have been an exclusive game for Xbox. I don't know, but I still really enjoyed it and thought it was a great experience. So anyway, those are my top 5 games of the year. I'm sure I've missed a lot of other titles that people want to talk about. These are the ones I was able to play, but what games did I miss? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks so much for watching.